Hey, this is Notser, and today we're taking a look at the Tier 8 British aircraft carrier, Implacable. We are on the map Loop, and this is April Fool's Day, April 1st. 8.2 should be live, and this game was from the stream yesterday, and it was a wonderful game. One for the ages, honestly. And I was attempting to try and generate XP so I could then purchase the Audacious with minimal free XP requirement. That's why I'm playing the Implacable, and that's why I'm using the camo, which you guys will see. But we were doing an initial scout, and clearly the enemy is very concentrated for B point. And as I was doing a rotation scout, I noticed that the enemy Mayhan was moving forward towards B point. And that can only mean one thing. Yes, that's what it means. He's attempting to capture. So I'm going to assume he's sort of in this corner, and I'm going to try and aim for him. Now, I am expecting that he's right there at the edge of the capture, where he's actually just behind the island. The little nook at B point. Oh, it's so annoying. Completely missed on the attack, and we're going to just try and do another pass. Now, I have an assumption that he's going to stay in that area. I just want to aim for that rock formation and then activate, and then once the aim settles down, obviously, I want to disrupt his ability to capture. He's the first one, and he has yet to be disrupted, so his is worth the most. And we absolutely crush his contribution to B point, but the squadron itself completely knocked out. Unfortunately, the flank that I spawned on and sailed to, C point, it's not looking good. We have a friendly DD who, for whatever reason, is refusing to go towards C at all. The friendly San Louis is overly aggressive as a cruiser. He doesn't have the concealment to make that play, and yet he is doing that. It is really unfortunate, and I don't have anything to do. I can't drop smoke. I can't, call a fighter to stop them from attacking. I can only try and mitigate the losses at this point. And, of course, as I'm sailing by this enemy DD, his flak burst catches my aircraft. So I decide, okay, let's just use the heal. Let's commit to doing damage to the Buffalo, force him to move back. Maybe the San Louis can disengage. You're trying to, talk to yourself. You're trying to really play up that. But let's be real, he's dead. He's so dead. All I'm trying to do, since I know he's dead, is get damage on this guy at this point. Now, my torpedoes are torpedo accelerated. I also have demolition expert. My build is last gasp, improved engines, survivability expert, sight stabilization, and then we pick up demolition expert, aircraft armor, torpedo acceleration, and the improved engine boost, whatever that one-pointer is. Now, this is slightly different from what I have committed in the past to the Brits, but it is one that seemingly works very well. The cluster bomb portion of the Brits are what disappoints me a lot. They are very difficult to successfully drop on targets that are small, and when you do drop a small target, it's basically RNG. Am I actually going to hit the target, or is it going to disperse and miss the target? Now, the Buffalo clearly flooding still. The flood went out just as we arrived. And I'm trying to drop my bombs on him and set as many fires as possible. Now, we only have one, which is, better than nothing, but I'm desperately trying to fly out of his AA bubble, and it's just not working out. We've got one aircraft already knocked out. The second one is barely alive. Please give me up. Once I see that the detector shifted over to the exclamation point versus the AA warning, that's my immediate tell to press F, because then there's nothing that's in range AA aura-wise to knock those aircraft out. I always try and do that, and boy, does this look bad, doesn't it? The enemy has transitioned from B point, where they were a monster force, and they've gone to C point, where, unfortunately, a DD is already detecting me, and we can't really do anything other than try and attack him to slow him down, because we're surface detected. I'm turning north in an effort to not die, but I don't think that I've done it in time. I think that I'm a little bit slow on this. I should have moved back probably, 10 or 20 seconds sooner. That way they wouldn't have had a clue that I'm here and not have pushed very aggressively towards my position. As it stands, though, we made the mistake. How are we going to deal with it? Well, I scrambled my torpedo squadrons, and my effort is to try and slow down the ships that are responsible for surface detecting me. The Mayhem is that ship. And coupling the torpedo acceleration with the torpedoes, it actually has really great ability to damage enemy DDs if I give enough lead. Now, he could maneuver actively, slow down, whatever, and I couldn't do any damage. I was expecting this might have been perfect. Oh my. Just a millimeter, less than a meter for sure, worth of torpedo activation. He was able to close that distance, and actually the torpedo slammed into him unactivated. Sickening, because that would have killed him. I would have dropped off detection, and I would have been just a little bit more safer. As it stands, we've got to try and use cluster bombs because our attack rockets are still really anemic. We went in and tried to kill them against 4 ships. Wasn't going to work. So, oh God, come on. Hit something, please, anything. I'm desperate. And we do get 2 fires, and what the heck? One of the bombs hit directly. I did not see that kind of damage, but the 2 fires burned him down and we kill him. We were able to stop him. But oh goody, he's not the only one who's actually surface detecting us. And just barely staying alive. Barely alive at this point. I'm going straight to the corner. I want to force them to have to commit. Are they going to give up their chance to deal with my team and spend a long time trying to shoot me? Or are they just going to sail towards the center of the map, meet up with their teammates, and leave me safe once again to try and reestablish some success? I mean, it was successful killing the Mayhem, but that wasn't the initial goal. The initial goal was to try and, win the flank. It got a lot closer than that, and I don't like that. So, enemy Atago sailing forward. I note that he is turning away from me, so I allow the torpedoes to get as close as possible to the predicted torpedo avoidance path. Obviously, if he turns away, I can allow that activation window to move closer to him, so it's point blank. And we get 1 torp hit on him, which is great. We also get another torp hit on the North Carolina, but their AA is so good, it's really annoying. But each one has to decide, do I put a single flood out? And it looks like both of them made the choice. They both use their damage control. Because they use their damage control, I should be able to follow up with some sort of fire, because my torpedo squadrons are still unhealthy trying to repair. But I can follow up with maybe my cluster bomb on that North Carolina or the Atago and maybe have 1 or 2 fires stick. That's the thought process here. Obviously, we as a team have captured 2 bases, but we're down 1 ship, and the center is being contested. So we're not actually gaining from that tick rate. And this enemy North Carolina, who apparently is going around the island, I'm trying to get in front of his attack path. Now, someone in the chat mentioned that Notser, you would have a lot more hits if you would just do a slight crisscross pattern with the ship. And he's totally right. I made more use of the crisscross after the comment, but in this game, it wasn't really. Because the enemy is always going to actively maneuver, you're always going to have some sort of crisscross pattern. And as long as you allow for a significant portion of that enemy ship to be inside of a section of it, 3/4 of the aim aura, you're doing better than if you were to align it perfectly parallel. Because the way the bombs drop, they drop on the edge of the indicator. Some ships are just too small. And a ship that's too small for a parallel course, that's why you would do a slightly crisscross. And we got a fire on him. I did okay damage. I think we did, 15,000, all things told. The fire is out, unfortunately, so maybe he, once again, used damage control on a single fire. I really want to punish this. You're not supposed to do this and get away with it. So I have my attack rockets, which have a reasonable fire chance, not the best. But if I go for the superstructure, I should be able to get 4, 5, 6,000 damage and maybe a fire. Friendly Prince Eugen, though, is doing mega work. Now, all throughout this, I'm commenting on him. I'm trying to help him out. He's using the island to block line of sight. This North Carolina is sort of sailing too far, too fast to see his progress. We do catch him with a fire, which is great. But I don't want to lose the squadron, and the North Carolina is incredibly potent at dealing with my squadron. I should not have tried to turn back in. If you see your hit points at yellow or red, don't attack. Don't attack ever. You're going to lose that aircraft, and losing that aircraft takes 70 plus seconds on average to get back. Is it worth 70 plus seconds to maybe do 1,000 damage? No, of course not. So, friendlies are doing a good job, though. Looks like the friendly aircraft carrier was able to bomb the North Carolina. We know that the North Carolina is aggressively using damage control. Oh, the Prince Eugen. Alaska was able to kill the Jutland. That Jutland was a big pickup. He's doing everything he can as a great teammate to try and keep this game alive. I need to contribute just as much to his life. And doing that, kill the North Carolina. He's the biggest threat by far, without a doubt. And it kind of looks like he's slow, stationary. I don't know. One fire set. We did okay damage on that drop. One thing that is cool about the cluster bombs for the Brits, when it's doing the drop animation, you can use your WASD keys to rotate the squadron that is not in direct control of you, as the animation of the bombs dropping. I could have turned that aircraft while not being in their control view. I honestly make an extensive use of it for my cluster bombs whenever attacking a target that's isolated like this, because you just keep up the pressure. He was able to burn out, and teammates still alive, which is great. It's 5 versus 5. We have the Chungmu capturing C. The Prince Eugen is trying to survive, and I'm going to attempt to spot the target at B point. Now, I do have my torpedo bombers, but they're not as healthy as I would have liked at this stage of the game. This is what I'm talking about. Every little detail really adds up for the carrier. Every decision that may lead to a single aircraft loss, you really have to evaluate it and say to yourself, is it worth my effort to even attempt to attack on those squadron losses? Of course it's not. But that's just something as a player base, as a player myself, I'm getting more comfortable with. Enemy Hipper, of course he uses his fighter, and of course we fly right through it, and I have nothing. Huge mistake. Devastating mistake. However, it looks like the fighter broke off the attack. I don't know how. I don't think it was because of my fighter. It was still scrambling. Enemy Hipper avoids the first torpedo set, but that sets him up for a perfect second follow-up. Right on the nose. We should get 1-2 torpedo hits. We do cause a flood, and we'll check the top right, confirm if that flood is sticking. So far it is. So far it did. He put his damage control on because the damage tick stopped. That's one key information that maybe a World of Tanks player would look over, because in World of Tanks the damage counter doesn't tell you if you don't see the target. But in World of Warships, even in my remote location as a carrier, I could still get extra information from looking at the damage counter on the top right. But most of you already know this. So once again, we are scrambling. We're going towards the Hipper. I do see a fighter overhead, so that would immediately tell me that the Hipper is trying to rotate around with the assistance of the fighter. And it does kind of look like he sort of stopped and he was backing up. Maybe he didn't expect me to come here, but he's not actually in the protective bubble by the fighter. So I just fly over, and this is absolutely a parallel course. It's not really recommended, but it did work out. We had 5 bombs make contact, also a fire. Since he used his damage control, it's probably still on cooldown for a little bit, so I get to benefit from the dot. But why am I flying parallel to the Hipper? His AA is just devastating me, and these little mistakes, man, they add up. We've got 2 bases to their 1, but we're down 2 ships. It's not looking too good, right? The Hipper is very low. Prince Eugen looks to be finishing him off. He does. Great job, Alaska. Another enemy Prince Eugen is on approach. The Changmu attempted to torpedo him. I will attempt to torpedo him with my limited squadron size. Aircraft carrier is one of those things where it still has amazing amounts of planning and skill requirement to really be amazing at it. And I am still not there. So I'm just trying to critique every single decision. The Prince Eugen, he's turning into the torpedoes. Because he's turning in, I am going to drop short. So the activation occurs before he could possibly close it. Unfortunately, I dropped it a little too shallow, and I missed him. But he basically put the ship brakes on, so this is an easy torpedo hit. I lost one of the torpedo squadrons. I just wish that my squadrons were a little bit more healthy at this stage of the game. Unfortunately, though, Alaska finally goes down. He tried his damnedest to try and win that game. He helped me kill 3 separate targets, one by one, and he was very low. So really happy with my division mate's contribution. But we have about 2 minutes 50. King George is very low. Obviously, Prince Eugen's also very low. And I'm not the lowest, but the aircraft carriers are going to, on cooldown, attack me. And the first attack with the attack rockets does 4,500. We don't cause a fire, unfortunately, and I'm trying to get out of the aura, as I should have done far more this game. Once we confirm that we're out of the aura, we switch over. The enemy is not dropping with enough lead. That's cool with me. I don't have to worry about defending my aircraft carrier. But we don't have that much time. I think, honestly, I'm a little too far. And look at B point. B point is being actively captured. And I wish that I had another speed boost consumable. I don't. I'm trying to get over there in time to try and disrupt. But I just don't know that that's going to happen. Or it's going to be really close if that does. Still don't see the target. Still don't see the target. He is absolutely behind the island. So I activate, knowing full well that he's behind the island. But we are just millimeters off. If I would have gotten it scrambled and straight towards him 3 seconds faster, we would have been able to disrupt, and they would not have captured B point. And unfortunately, I've got a cluster bomb. This is not how you're supposed to drop. You don't want to be perfectly perpendicular. You want it to be a crisscross pattern that's, 3/4 of the aura is covered up by the enemy ship. As it stands, I'm just praying that a bomb will drop directly on its position. Of course it doesn't. It straddles the target. Enemy aircraft carrier squadrons, of course, scrambling to engage me on cooldown. I can't really do anything about it at this point. I've got to kill the Prince Eugen, or the game is over. Quite literally, the game ends in this squadron attack. Whether I am successful in killing the Prince, or the enemy ticks over to 1,000. And once again, I don't have any speed boost whatsoever consumable available. I am just bone dry when it comes to utility. And I'm just trying. I'm trying so desperately. The friendly Changmu is attempting to kill the Prince Eugen with his guns. And oh, I hope he can. Oh, do I hope he can. But I think the Prince was able to line of sight him. And because the Prince is line of sighting him, I have to just use it on the Prince. He has to die. This is how the world works. King George is very close to the torpedoes. 1 second left. Are you kidding me? The game ended with an 11-point spread. Gosh. Why? So many decisions. Literally seconds away on so many different levels in this game from winning the game. I let my team down. Clearly, I let my team down. I didn't do a good enough job. I mean, we went through all of the different mistakes through the course of the game and the squadron management. There's no excuse. Alaska did a great job. 2,100 base XP in a loss. He would have cleared 3K easily. I would have cleared 2,500 easily. And unfortunately, we lost. But man, was it a close game. I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I loved playing through it. I'm not disappointed at all by this. I'm only disappointed that the moment-to-moment combat wasn't as clean as it should have been. but we stayed in it until the bitter end. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.